I see you have joined me yet again. It's time for us to once again press the attack against the Deepwater Guard who foolishly oppose our manifest destiny. The Steel Striders are holding the Golden Trench captive, and my records indicate it is rightfully part of our historical territory. Let us begin. Yeah, this is usually what happens when I load my campaign. Lots of small fleets. I've built my own force out horizontally rather than vertically currently, which results in my fleets being scattered everywhere. Now, there may be some sort of bug that is causing a countdown to be skipped or something, because this should not have happened immediately, but we'll just have to deal with it. It also means that we're in a 2 versus 1, which I didn't necessarily expect, but we will just have to deal with it. So we're against a Swordfish and an Atlas, while utilizing the Dandelion. I would not expect this to be terribly difficult, but if we don't back off of the Swordfish and it just rams us, it might be a problem. Alright, it just charges over you. Well, the Atlas is made out of tissue paper, like the other Deepwater Guard craft. So the high explosive shelling is not healthy for it. Now, some point-blank high explosives will probably end the Swordfish's entire career. We have not taken appreciable damage yet. Deepwater Guard weapons are designed to look damaging rather than to be damaging. It's actually part of the design principles. Some of their godly airships do actually do real damage. And some of them are actually fairly effective. I do think that all of the godly airships from the Deepwater Guard should be effective, but unfortunately there's the Leatherback, which has all of its ammo in one place, and if you hit that ammo, it just completely explodes, and the fight is immediately over. We haven't lost capture progress, but we might if I try to pick up these resources. Nope, we got them. Alright. Got a Prowler coming out. We've got a Rapier, a Jacob's Folly, and some Tradecraft moving around. Very well represented of the enemy arsenal. I think I have 1 or 2 repair bots, so it's slowly going to repair up outside of combat, but that is not common across my fleet. A lot of my vehicles have no repair bots at all. Once I've got about here, I might hold the line. I might take this resource zone first, but it's probably going to be somewhere around here. That'll hold over into the next council meeting and hopefully leave the Steel Striders alive for it. So we should be able to do the retrofit now. We'll see how this works, because I've shuffled the blueprints around a little bit, but it has the same name. Excellent. They're a much higher health than I thought they would be.
Moving
These
out.
can all join.
Listening.
All join different fleets.
Moving out. Listening.
Although I'm going to send this one down here to just speed up the capture game a little bit. 2 Beetles and a Thundershock. I don't particularly need this for anything. They're a little bit slow because of the Beetles, but I'm going to start capturing this territory with them. I'll have to send this one back afterwards. I could probably retrofit it here, actually. In this case, the Dandelion... in this case, the Dandelion should be taking all of the fire. And it's reasonably tanky. Maybe not. Interesting. I'm surprised that the Thundershock is taking fire. I thought the much larger and heavily armored Dandelion would be taking fire instead. That explains why they're not moving. The upgrade with the additional Lambs nodes should be able to fry those projectiles pretty easily. But this one's taking damage. Not sure what the targeting is about. Down to 82% though. Those high explosive rounds are putting into it rather quickly, and Cash isn't that effective against the Deepwater Guard. but to some extent, everything is effective against wood. So using weapons that are ineffective against wood are perfectly reasonable. Interesting, we managed to get a resource drop from ourselves there. I'm hesitant to do the upgrade to the Dandelion because the Thundershot can't repair it.
Listening.
I'm going to double check, but I think, yeah, the Dandelion can repair other vehicles in the fleet. So I can do that retrofit in place. This feels like a very long 2 seconds. I believe I've shown it very quickly in passing. But we'll show it here now. It's a bit ugly, but it's pretty equally split between APS, missiles, and lasers. The laser is largely for lambs to stop incoming projectiles, so it doesn't even shoot if its energy charge is too low because it's being prioritized on lambs. These are kinetic guns, but they have no rail to them at all. And they've got some remote-guided missiles. This is a bug with the missiles. See how they turned the long way around, where it would have been easier to just flip over? I think that instead of using SLRP, spherical linear interpolation, or something like that, they go by the shortest Euler angle, and it's not able to see that it can cross sort of the North Pole, so to speak. That's my suspicion, at least. I can't look into the code to verify that or not. It looks like our lambs is currently keeping us quite safe. We've put very little damage into the Jacob's Folly. It's mostly been into the paddle gun. Something happened to our first volley of missiles, but that second one got a good hit on the paddle gun. We just have the absolute default targeting system, or targeting priorities. So it looks like we have retargeted into the paddle gun for a while because it was closer and probably had some decent offensive firepower. These are some pretty dangerous missiles if they actually hit. Again, they're HESH, but I like using HESH missiles a lot when I can, which not the most effective necessarily against the Deepwater Guard, but you don't need to be effective against the Deepwater Guard. Now, these sorts of APS are not necessarily effective either, especially in ship-to-ship, where it's easy to accidentally get skims off the water and that sort of thing. But they're fairly flexible so that you can engage a lot of different types of targets, and that's why I went for them. This is supposed to be a very flexible vehicle, and mostly it was supposed to protect larger ships against air vehicles. So if it wasn't protecting itself with lambs, it would use it as anti-air to shoot down aircraft that would be pestering some of my larger vehicles. The one weakness about it that I should rectify is it has no torpedo defense at all. It'd be really easy to just put a few interceptors on it, and it would barely increase the cost while giving it a significantly increased durability.
Receiving.
Let's check what's in this fleet.
Receiving.
Alright. You know what? Let's just have a party. As I get later and later in my life, I feel like it's more important to make sure that everybody is included. So, we really just have to make sure that, everyone who wants to be to this party is at the party. And it was pretty clear from looking that all these guys wanted to be in the party. We're going to have to do an inventory of the enemy craft here, though. A lot of lag spawning in. So let's just pause it and let's just look at what we've got. We've got an Albatross, Argonaut, Cat Shark, Resolute, Lynx Squadron. Okay, the Retribution came with Hakes. We'll check what our targets are. This is not a reasonable target. It should deprioritize speed,
Engaging now.
but it doesn't look like it's done it well enough. This might not be a reasonable target either. The cat shark might be a little bit too fast, but let's just take a look and see what happens. Our flares should do some real work this battle. They're large enough that they should pretty easily protect their small craft. I would imagine the Albatross does not tank Hesh very well. You could definitely see it taking some Hesh missiles right there. Alright, our next cram volley should be coming in against the cat shark. That was not good at all. Got a few more coming in now that the cat shark has stabilized a little bit. Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah, those fast crams are a huge upgrade. I don't think the old crams could have hit like that. Just that one square hit just absolutely annihilated the cat shark. There was even a poll recently, which I answered yes to, by the way, about making crams effectively 20% denser, because I do currently think that they're not dense enough. And that was really just agreed with my own opinions. So I'm really going to like to see what it's like after that. It won't be a huge difference. You can definitely see some lag spikes that I think are air pump related in this battle with the whole beta branch performance regression thing. I'm not entirely sure if that's what it is, but other people have reported having performance regressions as well. But this is a fairly small battle for me, and I would not expect to have any lag spikes. Looks like our Thundershock is shooting down some planes here. It should have pretty good accuracy because it's receiving data from other craft. It heavily prioritizes small planes, but its turrets will just shoot at what they can. So if the bottom turret can only shoot at ships, it'll just shoot at ships instead. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. Looks like the Elephant has taken a little bit of damage. Just 1% though. The Resolutes are not high firepower. Really, I think the Albatross and the Cat Shark were the only two enemy vehicles that I noticed that had the capacity to do damage, and the Elephant flares should have been highly effective against both. Another Resolute. This one's still got a little bit more firepower left up and running. But I really don't think that there's a whole lot left going on from the Steel Striders. The Resolutes are just not that terrifying, and neither is the Argonaut. So I think they're good ships for, well, maybe they're better ships for an easy difficulty preset, but they're not bad inclusions for a medium preset. Oh, I missed this one, the Saber. Yeah, I saw the Lambs drones, and I was trying to remember what they came off of. I knew they came off of an aircraft carrier, but it was the Saber. This thing can be a little bit of a pain. It's not a scary vehicle. No firepower, it just protects its drones. And its drones don't really do that much. So I don't exactly understand what its purpose is in a fleet. Not a good hit with a cram volley. Against a stationary target, too. Looks like pretty much everything is despawned. That should be the last one. I think it was a good party. I'm going to let them pull a little bit more resources from the Golden Trench, even though I don't have to. They probably just put a Revox Materials factory on it. Or two, because they need way more than one to actually harvest it out. The fact that two harvested out probably means that the Revox Materials factories are a little bit overbuilt. It would be nice to see them fortify very important resource zones with actually good defensive structures. I'm sort of the opinion that fortress type structures should have a cost reduction on them to make them a little bit more effective.
Listening.
So we've got the Kalmar and a rapier. The rapier is actually a fairly effective vehicle for the Deepwater Guard given its cost. It's one of very few that I find actually performs very well. It's cheap though. It's what, 20,000, 25,000, something like that. Oh, 65,000. Well, maybe it's not as cost effective as I thought. If I thought it was 25,000. The Kalmar is very effective against beginner craft. If you're just starting out, your vehicle doesn't move very fast. The Kalmar harpoons you and moves in. It can absolutely annihilate you. But my recollection of the rapier is that its weapons are actually effective. That a lot of the Deepwater Guard craft can't really kill you. And the rapier is still made out of tissue paper just because of Deepwater Guard build principles. But the weapons can actually hurt you. So you have to be a little bit respectful of it. Some nice hash ripping apart the inside of the Kalmar there. I'm not sure how explosive it is because it probably doesn't actually need much ammunition. Well, I say that, but it actually has a lot of magnet bombs. So there probably does have to be a decent ammunition storage in there somewhere. And knowing the Deepwater Guard, there's probably just way more than it actually needs. Because it's a relatively low difficulty class. In a relatively low difficulty class. And it needs something to make it blow up. Our logistics hub is fairly developed.
Receiving.
Which is not really a lot of fun
Moving now.
to implement,
Receiving.
but
Moving now.
because it's painful, I'm sure it's good for you. This is sort of a guiding principle that I've lived my life by, and it probably really explains a lot when it comes down to it.
Receiving.
We don't really need another surface fleet for anything. I've been building very wide. Once this one rolls out, I'm going to start building tall. I'm just going to build a few late game craft. I'm not sure I'm really going to use them for much immediately.
Moving now.
Now we'll see what's facing off against the Chrysatos. I don't even know if it's Greek or not. Well, it's horrendously outclassed. I probably shouldn't spawn all of these in if I can help it. We're going to put ourselves on this damage craft just so that we can repair it a little bit. The Chrysatos should be almost immediately terminated though. Yeah, that's not healthy for you. Oh man, it even took the cram shots to the face. It dealt at least 1 damage to the elephant. I hope the marlin is above water. Yeah, okay, that's good. I haven't been keeping enough track, but
Listening.
there is the potential for me to get waylaid by a submarine. And I just have too few ships that can productively fight submarines. Now, the one thing that I do have to check out is what the marlin actually is, because I'm not sure I've ever fought this before. Now, one of you may go and dig into the video and find that I have actually fought this before. So I have seen this structure before, but I don't remember if it was on the Marlin. So if they're two ships that use the same hull or not. Maybe it was the Marlin. I know Lathrix retrofitted a Deepwater Guard ship, and it looked very much like this. So I think it was the ship exactly. For some reason I thought it was called something else. But I'm not sure I've ever actually seen this ship spawn in before. Not huge firepower numbers, but APS can actually do real damage to us. We'll see how we fend off against the Cram. If it's just high explosive, we should be fine. I don't really understand visually what this is supposed to accomplish. I'm assuming that these are IR decoys. I don't actually know what the heat and sonar, or the heat and radar decoys look like, but I know that they roughly look like this, and I'm assuming these are the heat just because of the looks of them. Let's unpause it. I want to see from our perspective. So it's using small missiles, so we're not shooting... Oh, it's very explosive. So we're not shooting them down with our CIWS, but we should defend ourselves against the cram. And our missile interceptors will do some interception against the small missiles. We were predicting it to go lower, and then predicting it to go higher. See the cram volley? Yep, probably pure high explosive with no hardeners. Our CIWS is not great as soon as they're hardeners, but volleys of high explosive cram just absolutely melts to it. We've still taken a little bit of damage though. The APS and small missiles are things that we do not take care of very well. Small missiles are hard to deal with outside of LAMs, which I don't really put onto ships that are this small. Except for ships like the Thundershock that have lasers as the primary damage source. I kind of wish they spawned in Lathrix's retrofit. I don't think he posted stuff on the workshop, so I've never actually spawned any of his stuff in-game.
Listening. Moving out.
The Walrus, I want to keep capturing here so we're not going to kill it. And it's picking up materials. We can always kill it on the way back if it's too slow. Let's take a quick look at how we're doing before we speed up time again. Everything looks fairly satisfactory. We have... Well, I'm going to turn on resource rings for a moment. Good, these are not over. These are not in each other's rings anymore. I'm going to start the build now so that I don't wind up running into issues with resource storage. And I'm going to spawn in a ship that, or an airship rather, that I don't believe you've seen yet, but I did just... Well, unless you browse Reddit, it's actually been on Reddit a long time ago. But, or unless you look backwards in my workshop page, because it's already on my workshop page. But it's also in the outro. I already filmed 10 outros sequentially that make up part of a sequence, and the ship is in all of them. So whether or not it actually sees combat, you can take a look at it, but it's way in the distance. Because another ship is in the foreground.
Receiving.
I doubt the rapier can actually hurt the lungfish. It probably can't get through the lambs. So this is probably just going to kick us off of our capture zone. Which means I should probably just disable movement. Give us the best chance of staying on the capture zone. Actually, this might be really bad because we're not going to use our roll props. And we have enough recoil from the turrets. That's actually a problem. That was fast, though.
Receiving. Taking command.
Good, we got to keep our capture progress. I believe that is enough from the depths for one video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit one of the dopamine buttons down below. I hope to see you again soon.